Hi and welcome to this tutorial of how to use this repo of deploy examples that we just introduced in Hummingbot. The goal here is to simplify the way that you deploy Hummingbot or use Hummingbot on Gateway. Let's review some of the most important stuff. First of all, here you have a README for each example that you have here. I will recommend you to read it. The one thing that is very important is to build your own image for ARM if you are using a machine with ARM, because the performance of the other image is not good for ARM. So here you have all the instructions. You can read it and see how you can use it. So the first thing that we are going to do is to have Docker install. All this repo is using Docker, so you will need Docker. You can install it from the web page. Here, as you can see, I don't have any container running. This is Docker desktop. And in images, I have some images that are created for ARM. That is because I have a Mac with M1. So as I need ARM, I built my own images. Now let's clone the repository. In this repository, as I mentioned, you are going to find a lot of examples. So let's try with those examples locally. So I'm going to go to the desktop and git clone the deploy examples. So cd deploy examples and code. We're going to use VS Code for this tutorial. So let's start with the bash scripts now. As you can see here, you have the sh scripts, but if you read here the README, you will need to give the permissions to those files. So for that, we're going to use a terminal and we are going to cd bash scripts, and then we're going to run that file. So in this case, we don't need VS Code. We can use the terminal to do all what we want. So let's use just the terminal. So as you can see, we have here the creator stage, for the gateway and for the client. So we are going to run Hummingbot create sh. And here, we are asked for the version. As I mentioned before, in Docker, we have this version that is test. That is the one that we are going to use. The file where we are going to store the things, Hummingbot files, yes. The password is password of my computer. And now we have Hummingbot up and running almost without any issue and very easy. So this is how you can run Hummingbot. So if we inspect the folder that we have inside bash scripts, now we have here these Hummingbot files, because by default is going to create the directory in the same directory that you have the script. So suppose that now we want to create the gateway and connect the two clients. We will need the certs at first. That is one of the things that we are going to need. If we want to generate the certs, we have to run gateway generate certs. He's going to ask for a passphrase. We are going to use A in this case, so the A will be the passphrase for our certificates. And now with Control P, Control Q, we can exit the client. If we run docker ps-a, we can see that the bot is running. And if we check also Docker desktop, we can see that the bot is running here. Certs, as you can see here, now we can see the certs over here. We can copy the absolute path, copy path. We are going to copy the path to that folder, because now we are going to exit this client and run the file that is create gateway create.sh. So it's going to ask us for the version of the gateway. We can use latest. The problem is that latest is in AMD right now, but don't worry. and where we want to save the files, the passphrase that I used, and if you want to continue installation. And the last thing is the path where Hummingbot certificates are stored. In this case, we copied that before. It's inside here, search. So it's going to copy, well, first of all, download the latest image of the gateway. Here we can see that file successfully copied from this search to the search that the gateway needs. And once this is completed, we are going to have the gateway up and running, and we can see, then we are going to access the client and see that the client can see that the gateway is online. As you can see here, I'm receiving a warning that says that the platform doesn't match with my architecture. So that is one of the issues that we can have. But, well, the performance is the only impact. The gateway should work too with this difference. So now, as you can see, it says starting gateway on port 15,088, and then the docs are in the port 8080. So if we go to Safari and we go to localhost 8080, the problem with this Docker file is that the port 8080 isn't forwarded in this script, but I'm going to create a PR. I solved this issue on the gateway repository, but I forgot to add that issue here, that the port of the documentation was missing, but I will add it after this video. Well, so the gateway is up and running. So if we go now to the client, attach Hummingbot, Docker attach Hummingbot, now we can see that the gateway is online, so you can start using the gateway with the client with these two scripts. Now it's time to see how we can use the simple Hummingbot compose file to run one instance of Hummingbot, and then we are going to see how to auto start that with a script and with a strategy. So I'm going to use this image that is Hummingbot ARM. I built it in my computer since I have Mac M1. Well, this is the Docker file that I'm going to use that is inside simple Hummingbot compose. As you can see here, I have the image that I'm going to use, that is Hummingbot ARM. Two things that are important here, or just one, is that these Hummingbot files is the folder that will be created in the directory that I'm going to run this the Docker Compose file. When I run Docker Compose app, this folder will be created there, and these folders are going to be mapped inside the container. So let's open the terminal, cd desktop deploy examples, simple Hummingbot compose, and we have to run docker compose app -d. Remember that you need to use the -d to run in detach mode, and the containers will be created in the background. So now we can access it with docker attach simple Hummingbot compose bot1. Typo. Here we have Hummingbot up and running. So I'm going to create a password. In this case will be an A. And remember this because then we are going to use the example of the auto start with a password that is an A. So, well, that's all about the simple Hummingbot compose. As you can see, it's very straightforward to get to have a Hummingbot instance running with this. So it's time to now auto start one strategy. So Ctrl+P, Ctrl+Q to exit this client. Now, if I run docker ps-a, you're going to see that the instance is running. If I want to enter again, just I need to run docker attach. So this is how you can have instances running in the background. But well, now we have to run docker compose down, and you will see that it's stopping the container. And well, here in docker desktop, we are seeing this bot here, but now as this process finished, it disappears. So well, here you have the example of auto start, and you will see that inside conf you have this strategy that is a configuration file for pure market making, and also inside scripts we have this format status. So well, I'm going to use this script to auto start. So I'm not going to do it here, so I will explain you how to do it from the template that we have that we used just before. So inside these Hummingbot files, we have this script folder. I'm going to paste the script inside this script folder. And then here in Docker Compose, I'm going to add environment variables. So this will be environment. And here I need to run config password equal to A, because I used an A before. And then this is config file name equal to format status.py. So the two things that you need to know is we need config password and config file name. The config file name can be the name of the script or the name of the config file that you are using for the strategy. Remember that the script doesn't have configuration file, so you just need to run the script, and the strategies are configurable, so you will need to use the config file name for that. Just to check, let's compare this Docker Compose file with the Docker Compose file of the auto start that we have already there, and it's the same, so we are ready to go. We open the terminal again, and now we run docker compose app-d again. It's started, and with the attach, we can see now that the script is initialized. If we run status live, this is the purpose of this script, is to show the volume that is in the order book below 1%, above -1%. So this is what we are expecting. Well, now let's try with a strategy. Remember that if I run Ctrl P, Ctrl Q, I can exit this, but if I run attach again, this will be running in the background. So, well, it's quite handy to use Docker to run strategies in the background. Now we run docker compose down. This container will be stopped. And now for the strategy, we will need to add a folder here where we are going to store the strategies, and this file that is conf pure market making one will be inside this folder that is strategies. What we need to change in order to start the strategy instead of the script, we will need to add here the name of the strategy that we want to auto start. In this case is conf pure for market making one.yaml. So this is the name of the strategy. And after doing that, we can just run docker compose app-d again. And if we run attach, we're going to see that now conf pure market making is a strategy file and is running the pure market making strategy with the configuration that we asked. So well, that's all how you can use the compose file to run a single Hummingbot instance, and also how you can auto start an instance with the compose file that has environment variables. Remember that you will need the password of the client and the strategy that you want to use. And in this case, I'm just using paper trade. So if you will need to auto start a strategy that is using a real connector with a real account, you will need also inside the conf folder that when you run connect, they are there for you. So you will need to copy that inside the conf folder and inside conf and connectors. Now it's time to see how you can use Hummingbot and the gateway in Docker Compose. And I think that is the best setup because it's very easy and you don't need to use different scripts. It's very straightforward. So the file is inside here, Hummingbot gateway compose, and also you have an example of how to run multiple bots with the same gateway. And this also applies to if you want to run multiple bots without gateway, you just need to remove this gateway here. But well, let's check the simple example and then you can explore the multiple bots on them. And so, well, we have this Docker Compose file. As you can see, this part is this service, the Hummingbot bot is going to be the same as the one that we used before. We have to use here ARM. And the only difference is that here we are adding the gateway as another service that will be running in Docker. We are exposing the ports. This is for documentation, and this one is for the gateway. And here also we have the paths of where we are going to store the configuration and the logs. And this one is where the certs are stored. So, well, as you can see, the first time that we are going to run this example, the gateway is going to fail. And why? Because I didn't have the certificates before, and the idea of this is that you have already all the folders. You don't have to create the folders when you are starting the Docker Compose. You should have the information, the certificates that you want to use before having Docker Compose, but we are going to see how we can easily do that by generating the certs, writing Docker Compose down, and start it over. So let's go to a terminal again. Now let's move to the directory of Hummingbot gateway compose. We are here, and we have to run Docker compose app-d. So we have the warning of the platform of the gateway, but don't worry about that. And as you can see, these two folders are created. The folders of the bot and the folders of the gateway. If we want to access the bot and see what is happening there, we can just copy this and run docker attach, and you can see that is creating. We have to create a password, okay, because we are not auto starting. But well, as you can see, the gateway is offline. So what we have to do, because if I open another terminal and I do the same but for the gateway, I run docker. Sorry, we can just see that from the Docker desktop. You can see that the bot is running, but the gateway is excited because error, no such file of directory. He's looking for the PEM of the server key. Well, we don't have that because we don't have certs. So how we can fix that? We can run the command gateway generate certs here. The passphrase will be an A. And now we have the certificates in that folder. So now we are going to exit the client and we are going to run docker compose. Well, I will clear the terminal. Docker compose down. This is going to remove the containers. As you can see, I don't have anything here now. And now if I run docker compose app-d, the gateway should start without any issues because now the certificates exist in this folder. So let's check that if it's true. Docker, well, first let's check here. We have the bot and we have the gateway, so it's all good here for now. And let's access the client and see if the gateway is online or not. So we're going to use the attach again, the password that we use. And now we are seeing that the gateway is online. Well, this is for me one of the best ways to deploy gateway and client because it's very straightforward. Once you have the certificates, it's just running Docker Compose up and you have gateway and client up and running. Soon we are going to also add some examples of how to use the new broker that we include in the project, that is MQTT, to manage the bot from the outside, from a web app, or for whatever you want. So that's essentially all. I hope that you like it, and I hope that you can use it. Thank you very much, and well, happy trading.